What's up? It's comedian and unemployed TV host Don Jamieson. And since you're not watching that metal show anymore, what you should really be checking out is BackstageAxxess. It's where the real show begins.
From New Jersey, it is with the pleasure Jim Florentine from the fucking metal show. Let's get him up for Don Jamieson!
Hey, this is Chris with BackstageAxxess, and we are super stoked to have with us today comedian, former TV host, and total metalhead, Don Jamieson. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us here at BackstageAxxess, Don. We do appreciate it.
I appreciate the support. It's a big day for me today.
Absolutely. So the new album is out today, Communication Breakdown. Tell us a little bit about the record.
Yes, it's by my album day today. But what can I tell you? Look, for people who know what I do, it's a comedy album. But obviously, because of my time in the hard rock and metal world, I definitely like to tie those elements in as well. Definitely, there's a lot of material on there about our favorite bands that we love and musicians and things like that. But at the same time, I'm pretty psyched about the other stuff as well. I've never really told stories on stage before, so that's kind of a part of the new album. I just had kind of such unique stories that I wanted to get out there, and then then there's the typical the sex jokes and there's some masturbation jokes, a handful.
Now, the stories on the album, true to life or embellished for the record?
Well, all comedy's an embellishment, but yeah, they're all based in truth for sure.
Now, how do you come up with all your material? I know, obviously, you have other things going on, with your time in hard rock and that metal show, so you've got kind of things going on other comics don't have, but do you look at it as like every day, like this would be good for material, or do you just kind of sit down and say, okay, now I need new material?
No, every day, Chris, is new material. That's the thing. Every day you wake up, that's another day where you're going to get new material because you never know what's going to happen, You never know when you're going to have a drunken night out on the town with Kiefer Sutherland and be able to write a story about it or a pathetic attempt at trying to meet Johnny Depp at an Aerosmith party. It's like, this is all stuff that happens in my world, and I wanted to, put it on the record and, and also, the stuff that all comics talk about that comes from pain. That's why we always talk about our breakups and our divorces and our losses and stuff, because let's face it, when you're a comedian, it's basically an easy way to not pay for therapy.
Now, how did you first get into comedy?
You know what? I was hanging with Jim Florentine, my co-host from that metal show, and a great comedian, obviously in his own right. And I loved comedy. I always have since I was a kid. My first two albums were Kiss Destroyer and George Carlin, Occupation Fool. So those have always been my worlds. And I was just a big fan of Jim's style and his comedy. And, he just had a great edge about him. And I love edgy comedy. And I tried to write some material for him. And he's like, why don't you just do it? I can't use this. And I'm like, what do you mean, go on stage? He's like, yeah, do it on stage. He goes, come, and we were on our way to a show. And he's like, I could get you 5 minutes on stage tonight if you want. And I was like, you tonight? Seriously? There's no way. Okay, why not? And I tried it, and 20 years later, here I am.
Now, as a comedian, is there a line that you won't cross or a topic that's going to be off limits, or is it pretty open?
It's open. It's whatever's funny, But the challenge is these days we're in such a hypersensitive time. So you just have to be a little bit more creative with the way you present things. But you could still walk the line. You could still be on the edge. But what wasn't offensive 2 weeks ago is offensive today, and then in 3 weeks it'll be okay again. And so you never really quite know, what you can say and what you can say. But you can keep up with the times and be creative with you can still say what you want. You just have to kind of maybe phrase it a little differently.
Sure. Now, have you got some dates coming up for live shows?
I got all my dates. If people want, on my website, tednugent.com. You go there for donjamieson.com for minutes of fun. You can see where I'm performing. It's not like a band. I don't really go on tour. I'm just pretty much out every weekend, flying here, flying there. So, yeah, I'd love for people to come out and catch the live show, if they haven't seen me before. And if they dig, Communication Breakdown, I'd love for them to come out and check it out.
Absolutely. What's the absolute worst gig that you've ever done?
Oh, jeez. The thing with comedy, Chris, is that, no matter how long you're doing this, there is always an audience waiting around the corner to knock you down a few pegs. So you could, and comics, we're so nuts. Like, you could do 100 good shows in a row, and then you have that one bad show, and that's all you think about for like the next month. But that's good, because then, because like no comedian has ever like went on stage, killed for an hour, and then went back to their hotel room and rewrote their whole act.
Right.
But, when you bomb, that's when you go, F that crowd. This is never happening again. And you write 5 more punchlines for every joke. And, you kind of reignites the fire underneath you. And believe me, I've seen comedians much, much bigger than me have bad nights. So, they come and go. But
right.
Obviously, after 20 years, hopefully you have more good shows than bad.
Sure, absolutely. Now, you had mentioned George Carlin. Who are some of the other comedians that kind of you were into in the beginning?
Well, my comedy idol is Andrew Dice Clay.
Okay.
He just, again, I love edgy comedy.
Right.
He created this amazing character that, that people, it was such a great character that, after a while people forgot that he was a comedian. He's a huge inspiration to me, and I actually got to open for him for about 10 years, which was really amazing. Cheech and Chong, when I was younger, I'm not really in the whole pot world, but even at a young age, I knew it was subversive, and so I liked it, and I like stuff like that that's kind of on the edge, and there's a lot of new comics. I've always loved Louis C.K. and I love Bill Burr, and I love what Amy Schumer does. So pretty much across the board. Cool.
Now, I was so bummed that VH1 is not going to do that metal show anymore. I mean, what is going on there? That's just horrible news for us metalheads that love to see you guys sitting on the set and talking about everything. So I always loved your recommendations, new bands and what CDs to check out. So what stuff are you listening to recently?
Well, look, no one's more bummed out than my mortgage broker, trust me. And it's funny. It's the three of us are still best friends. We all live in New Jersey, and in a sense, we still do that metal show when we hang out together. But we don't have cameras around us anymore.
You don't get paid for it.
Well, it really is. It's sort of like it's not even really. It wasn't really even a show. It was just like just put us out there and let us hang. And we still do that. We all went to see Saxon and UFO a couple weeks ago in New York, and we sat backstage with the guys in the bands, and we shot the bull with them, and it was like we were doing the show but without the cameras. So we still have a lot of fun together. We're still shopping for a new home. Hopefully it'll happen. As far as new music, I'm always checking out new stuff. They say you get mellower when you get older, but I find myself liking more extreme bands. I really love Amon Amarth. They're probably my new most favorite band in the last 10 years. Just really dig those guys. I love this band out of Italy called Destrage, who are doing something really cool and different and thrashy. I love Candiria, this band from Philly who's kind of been out of the scene for a while. Their new album is really amazing, kind of experimental, very heavy, combines a lot of styles. So pardon me, that's kind of the stuff I'm digging these days.
Cool. Now, going back to that metal show, do you have a favorite guest after all those episodes?
Well, as a human being, Lemmy from Motorhead is my idol. So, just, having him just, in my world anywhere was really the greatest thing ever. And he wasn't always the easiest guy to interview because, sometimes he gave you a one-word answer or he kind of mumbled a little and he had the real heavy British accent. Sure. But, in my mind, it's just like if he just sits here and smokes the whole show, it would be the coolest thing ever.
It would have been. Now, you said that you guys were still shopping the show around, so I'm sure you'll keep us posted on anything that's going on as far as that happens.
Absolutely. We appreciate, everywhere we go, people ask, and we love that, that the fans are so loyal. But it's just frustrating we don't have an answer. But I assure you, just like when your favorite band goes down, or in the metal world, we're always getting kind of pushed to the side or kicked down or marginalized, but we always find our way back. So I was just with Eddie a couple nights ago, and we were talking about it, and so it's still very much alive within us. Now it's just time to find a new home.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. Now, you are the very first Emmy Award winner that I've ever gotten the chance to speak to. So How
does it feel?
It feels fantastic. I'm so super pumped and psyched. Really.
Well, yeah, thank you. I didn't even, I'm so excited with you, I didn't let you even ask the question.
Are you still involved?
I did win an Emmy.
Yeah, are you still involved with Inside the NFL or something that you might be doing in the future?
No, and it's funny that I've done so much sports programming as well, but it's really the metal audience that is kind of like when I go to Home Depot or Lowe's. That's all the guys go, "Oh, you were the guy from Beer Money, and you were the guy from Inside the NFL." That's the sports audience in there. But you go to a rock show, and everybody knows that metal show, which is such a great blessing. But sports is something I'm very, again, all three of us are very passionate about, and we'd love to do a sports show as well, but as always, first priority is getting that metal show back on there. Then we can work on that sports show.
Combine the two, that metal and sports show, and then you got a double fan base there.
Absolutely. Look, Ted Nugent said on the radio the other day to Eddie, he's like, I'm going to pitch you guys at the Outdoor Life Network. We're like, yeah, well, we'll go duck hunting while we're interviewing artists. Whatever it takes to get us back on the air, we'll do it. That
would be funny. That would be awesome. Well, I got a chance to listen to Communication Breakdown. It's so cool. I love to laugh. Who doesn't love to laugh? And if people, like you said, like the edgy comedy, it's something they have to check out. Personal favorite was the Myrtle Beach clip because I'm in North Carolina, so it's often that we weekend down to the beach. And I hope
that's another thing where it's there was a lot of pain involved in that trip to Myrtle Beach, physical pain, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna go through CAT scans and head wounds and X-rays, I'm gonna turn this into comedy for sure.
Absolutely. I hope everybody runs out today and picks up a copy of Communication Breakdown, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see you soon at a club near us.
Absolutely, and anytime you want to come out to a show, just get in touch with me through my great record label, Metal Blade Records, who've been so supportive, and I'd love to see you out live at one of the performances.
Super, thank you so much, Don. Would you be able to do a quick soundbite for us before you go?
Yeah. What do you want me to say?
Okay, our website is BackstageAxxess, where the real show begins. Hey, this is Chris with BackstageAxxess, and we are super stoked to have with us today comedian, former TV host, and total metalhead, Don Jamieson. BackstageAxxess, where the real show begins, and however else you want to say it is fine.
Hey, what's up? It's comedian and unemployed TV host Don Jamieson. And since you're not watching that metal show anymore, what you should really be checking out is BackstageAxxess. It's where the real show begins, and it's got 3 X's in it, so you know it's good.
We're like, Johnny, we're big fans. Can we get a picture? And he goes, oh yeah, no problem. But now the bodyguard sees us talking to Johnny. He's all pissed off, right? He starts charging us like he's a 15-year-old chasing a Pokemon, right?